USC's next undergraduate student government president and vice president will join us live in the studio to talk about their plans once they take office.
You may have noticed police dogs on campus today. We'll show you why they and other police officers were here.
And insulin is about to become a lot cheaper for millions of Americans thanks to this drug company.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Undergraduate students have elected a new USG president and vice president who have a lot to say about their long and short-term goals. I'm Rachel Hallett.
And I'm Ethan Huang. This is the third year in a row that USG will have two women at the top.
Congratulations,
Cheers filled the Tudor Campus Center as new student leaders were elected to USG last night. 12 senators, a new president and vice president were announced. On Tuesday, President-elect Divya Jakatdar and Vice President-elect Michelle Liu received 38% of the votes for president and VP.
We're here with the USG 2023 President and Vice President, Divya and Michelle. Thank you both for joining us here today, and congrats on the big win. Has it sunk in yet?
I don't know if it fully has yet, but I think the work has begun. So a little bit, yeah.
Definitely.
Well, neither of you are strangers to USG. How have your previous roles in student government helped prepare you for these new ones?
So we're both senators on the Affordability and Basic Needs Committee, and the Vice President basically oversees the entire legislative branch. So over the past year, we've been able to kind of see what the Vice President does, and being able to shadow and see what she does really helps me prepare for the role ahead.
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot about leadership and about public speaking with stakeholders on all of the projects that we're working on to really understand the priorities of our student body, as well as how admin can be there to collaborate with us. Really learning also the workarounds more than anything. There's always going to be obstacles in the projects and the things that we want to do in our roles. And I think we've, for example, last semester there was a problem with getting financial donations to Trojan Shelter, an organization on campus. That was a project I was working on. And so we looked for workarounds, and I was able to work with USC Housing to deliver some of their excess resources to Trojan Shelter to still meet that end goal and meet that student need. So I think really those have been huge. And then also, last thing is just, we've also learned about the culture and the issues that are faced by our own students in our organization, and we've learned really what we need to do to address those issues as well.
And you mentioned housing. The housing directory is something that you both mentioned in your debate and was a big issue on your platform. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is and how you plan to implement that?
Mm-hmm. So currently, there's no really a centralized place where students can look at all of the possible housing on campus. So we want to just have all of the possible options all around campus on one platform where students can compare amenities, compare prices, and look for affordable housing.
And when we say that on campus, we really mean like on and off campus, all of the options laid out. I think that there have been attempts at this, but not a full compilation. And I think really the issue is that many students, even if their tuition and fees are covered, housing is just impossible to find here, and it makes it very difficult for students to stay at our school.
Sure. Well, another difficult issue that students are struggling with here on campus is thrift, and that is an issue that you both talked about wanting to move back towards, working back towards. Do you have any specific steps in how to move forward with that?
Yeah, so I'll say first of all, over the last few months that the shared model has been in effect, we were actually the senators that pushed for that feedback form, that shrift feedback form that is live on the student government website, still accepting responses, I believe. And basically the idea of this was that all of those responses will be directly shared with administrators so they can see the qualitative reasoning as to why the shared model is raising safety concerns for students that have used it. And so I think that was the first step, is really getting that direct student input that we can share with them. And then we've discussed with some of the relevant stakeholders, some of our pro staff in student government, as well as the current president and vice president, as well as their administrative connections, as to what the next steps are. We've come up with a few potential solutions, and we think we need to continue having these conversations with President Folt, as well as the other admin. But if Michelle would like to share some of the solutions we've discussed.
I guess the first one is back in 2017 when the shared model first started. Within 15 minutes, if students don't get their shared lift, it automatically goes to single rider.
Yeah. Then a second solution could be also doing some sort of cap on single rides per month, and then having an unlimited shared ride model after that, to address some of the issues with like certain times needing those short wait times. But there's a few other discussions that we've had about a potential transportation fee. Again, not sure what that would look like exactly, but seeing what really addresses student needs. So I think the next step right now is asking the students, after having those conversations with admin, to kind of rank those different solutions in terms of what students are willing to experience.
Absolutely. Well, I think we have time for one more question. If you both could sum up the USC student body in one word, what would you give it?
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to say advocacy.
The USC student body in one
word? Oh, the USC. Okay, the USG.
The USC, right?
USC.
The USG.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say people. Like, it sounds like such a stupid response. I'm sorry if that sounded dumb.
No, not at all.
Like, there's obviously adjectives that we could use: passionate, driven, hardworking. I think that all students at any college are definitely meet those things, because that's why everyone's worked so hard to get here. But
sure.
I think it would be hard to encapsulate everyone as just one being. I think the amazing thing is that we're all, especially the people we're here to represent, our people, they're students, and I think that gets lost a lot of the time in the conversations that we have, and we forget that.
I'm going to say community.
That's perfect. And unfortunately, that's all we have time for, but thank you so much, Divya and Michelle. We can't wait to see what your plans are for USC in the coming year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A different kind of student paid us a visit on campus today. These guys have really got their nose to the grindstone, putting their best paw forward. Dogs with the LAPD K9 unit came sniffing around campus. Police and their furry partners joined federal agents for a special day of training.
They start at a very young age and they look for low explosives and high explosives. So they start with simple boxes, and once they reach an odor in a box that we want them to locate, we give them the sit command and they get their ball. So that repetition helps ingrain in their mind certain odors that we want them to look for.
For them to be able to refine their dog's abilities and gain a greater level of familiarity with the university environment and campus is just a huge benefit for us.
In partnership with LAPD, DPS hosted the Canine Scent Detection Training. Why USC? DPS tells us that part of this decision was because of the variety of environments available on campus. But these furry friends did not go unnoticed. USC students shared their thoughts.
They're cute. I saw one was barking. I don't know. They haven't bothered me.
Although it can be, kind of cute from a distance, it's quick to antagonize students who may have issues with police or, law enforcement.
I feel secure. I feel safe. For me, it's just safer environment. I like it.
DPS says that training these dogs on campus helps DPS better mitigate safety protocols and response. From what we understand, today's training did not impact normal university operations.
The Los Angeles Police Protective League is proposing a plan to address the shortage of trained LAPD officers.
In LAPD, we have fewer than 8,000 street-ready police officers, and our academy numbers are dismal.
The proposal also seeks to address the dissatisfaction some in Los Angeles have with the police use of force in recent nonviolent situations. Among the service calls the LAPD would no longer respond to include parking violations, nonviolent calls about homelessness, or mental health.
Police officers are not psychologists. We are not psychiatrists. We are not mental health experts. We are not social workers, doctors, nurses, or waste management experts.
Law enforcement reform lawyer Michael Janacco believes this program has great potential, but could be challenging in implement.
So I think it's a step in the right direction. It creates some complexities. The secondary question, well, if the armed police officer isn't going to respond, who is? Some other agencies that might pick up some of these calls don't have that tradition of being available on a 24/7 basis.
The Los Angeles Protective League says the training of personnel is key to addressing these issues.
We cannot predict what's going to happen when they get to the call, but we want to make sure that they're trained and that officers are readily available to respond to these calls. But again, they're nonviolent.
While many logistics of the program are yet to be determined, if successfully implemented, it has the ability to alter the role of policing in Los Angeles.
Maybe on civilians that could assist with it, but also that the mayor's office come up with hiring, create jobs for people that don't have a job, but they do have expertise in training and handling some of these things.
For Annenberg Media, I'm Jack Reed.
Planning to leave the country anytime soon? Turns out the government is taking more time than usual to renew expired passports. As spring break is around the corner, wait times range from 8 to 11 weeks for passport renewal. Paying for expedited services may only decrease this wait by a couple weeks. If you urgently need your passport, call the Emergency Passport Service or contact a local congressional office. You can also pay for expedited services or stick to traveling to Canada or Mexico if you have a Nexus card. A new study has linked a widely used artificial sweetener often found in products like Truvia and Splenda with a heightened risk of heart attacks and strokes. Researchers found that the sugar substitute is also linked to an increased risk of blood clots. Annenberg Media sat down with an NYU professor who elaborated on the impacts of sweetener on health.
What we know about erythritol is that it's a sugar alcohol that's not digested. They really don't help most people prevent weight gain. because they're so easy to compensate for the calories. There's some evidence that artificial sweeteners fool people into thinking that they're eating something sweet and it messes up their metabolism.
Professor Nessel also says it's generally difficult to assess the exact effect of artificial sweeteners and that more research is needed.
People who suffer from diabetes have new hope with access to insulin. One of the 3 U.S. manufacturers of the drug is cutting costs by more than half its current price. Insulin manufacturer Eli Lilly announced Wednesday it's cutting down the price of the medication by 70%. The company will cap its out-of-pocket cost to $35 a month.
Out-of-pocket prices are ridiculous. Prior to this, I think there was this one accident where I dropped a vial of insulin, so it spilled everywhere, and it was the last one I had, so I had to go pay for one out of pocket. It was $200-300, which is ridiculous. Crazy that it took this long to come up with this price cap, but just very grateful that we're making steps in the right direction.
Eli Lilly's non-branded insulin will drop to $25 a vial on May 1st. President Joe Biden called the development, quote, a big deal, and added it's time for other manufacturers to follow. Women's History Month starts today. See how President Folk kicked it off.
A new study shows how Hollywood is doing when it comes to diversity and inclusion. Details coming up.
And meet a singer-songwriter who is a USC alum that performs at a monthly show.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
With the Oscars in just a few weeks, the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative released a new report on the diversity of winners and nominees throughout the history of the awards show. Although women and people of color make up a small percentage of nominations, the report found that numbers shifted after the Oscars So White movement in 2015. Since 1929, women made up 17% of nominees, while people of color were only 6%. After the Oscars So White campaign, the percentage of underrepresented nominees more than doubled. We spoke with the founder of the initiative about this year's nominees.
In terms of the nominees, this year the numbers are strong, but again, we have some categories that still have only one race included, and we need to see more variety because there are lots of people with talent, there are lots of people that are artists. They're simply not getting the support, the access, and the opportunity that white men are.
The Inclusion Initiative has a poll on their site where people can share what films they want to win. The Oscars will take place on Sunday, March 12th.
Toss it. USC Thornton School of Music is ranked the world's third best music school, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Ingrid joins us live from Studio A with a graduate of the program who's making his way through the LA scene.
Thank you, Rachel. From a Trojan to a cowboy, we've got singer-songwriter Chase Klein here in the studio. Since graduating USC in 2016, he's been busy writing, recording, and producing country pop songs acoustic style.
Let's take a ride in the four-wheel drive through the night until the morning. We'll leave this town, no trace, no sound, hit the ground without a warning. I know right where we're going, past where the blacktop ends, escaping from...
Chase, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for being here, or for having me be here, I should say.
Of course, yes. Tell me a little bit about your songwriting style and process.
Sure, so every song comes out a little bit differently, but most of my songs are written from personal experiences that I've had in my life. Over the past few years, I've definitely written a lot of songs about growing up, my mom and dad, my hometown, my brother. So I try to be as personal and honest as possible and tell stories that hopefully people can relate to.
I love that. And was there a piece of advice that you were given at USC that has helped you in your journey?
Absolutely. So one of the pieces of advice that I learned when I was at Thornton was from one of the professors, and they told me that you are not ready to perform a piece of music publicly until you are absolutely sick and tired of practicing it in your bedroom, because at that point you don't have to think about performing and it just comes across as naturally as possible.
I love it. Practice makes perfect. And speaking of performing, Chase will play a gig on March 15th at the Republic of Pie in North Hollywood. It's a monthly gig. And to find out more on that and his career, you can follow him on Instagram at Chase Klein Music, Klein spelled K-L-Y-N. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You know, Shelly, I also play guitar and sing, and I hear you're musically talented as well.
I mean, I used to play piano, saxophone, and guitar, but not definitely nearly as well as Chase does. Happy first day of March, everyone. Seems like we're marching into some clearer skies this month. The weather this afternoon was freezing, especially with the wind chill, but some good news, the rain is finally leaving us and some warmer weather's on the horizon. And today's evening is around the 50s, so let's look to the 5-day forecast to see what we can expect for the rest of this week. As you can see, it's getting warmer and warmer every day, with the exception of Sunday, which has a high of 58. Until then, temperatures will stay around the low 60s during the day and 40s each evening. While we are still seeing some overcast as the week will come to an end, it looks like the uncharacteristic rain is gone and the SoCal sun is making its way back up. Now to MJ for your sports updates.
Thank you, Shelly. Kevin Durant makes his son's debut. What does it mean for the Valley? USC hopes to turn the tables on the Pac-12 in Sin City. And it's March. All that and more coming up next, right here on Sports. I'm so happy it's March.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Kyla Drew.
And I'm MJ Newsom. March Madness is officially here. The women of Troy begin their tournament quest this evening as they take on Oregon State in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament. Following 2 home wins last weekend, the Trojans come into the tournament as the 6th seed, finishing the regular season with an overall record of 21-8. A win tonight would propel them to the second round to face the 3 seed Colorado Buffaloes. The Pac-12 tournament runs through Saturday, a day ahead of Selection Sunday.
USC men's basketball season is coming to a close this weekend. The Trojans have a 2-game homestand against Arizona and Arizona State, and their regular season will officially end on Saturday. USC is currently ranked 3rd in the Pac-12, trailing behind UCLA and Arizona. Senior Boogie Ellis is the current leading scorer for the Trojans, averaging 17.2 points per game. Although the regular season is coming to a close, there's still a chance to watch the men of Troy compete at the Pac-12 tournament from March 8th through the 11th in Las Vegas.
Now on to the Diamond. The Trojan baseball squad faces off against UC Riverside tonight at home at 6:30. USC comes off its first road series of the season where they lost 2 and tied 1 at Auburn. A win tonight would give them a winning record once again. The Trojans will play in the Los Angeles College Baseball Classic at home before finishing the weekend off on the road at rival UCLA.
Kevin Durant is expected to make his well-anticipated debut with the Phoenix Suns tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. This marks Durant's first game since January 8th and his first game since he requested to be traded from the Brooklyn Nets.
Looking forward to going out there and picking up where I left off. I know it ain't going to be that smooth. I know it's going to take me some time to get used to everything early on, but as far as just having fun and just getting lost in the game, I'm looking forward to doing that again.
Durant joins Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton with hopes to win a championship after the Suns' playoff dreams were cut short in the second round last May.
That's all for ATVN Sports. I'm MJ Newsom.
And I'm Kyla Drew. Passing it on to you.
Thanks, Kyla Drew. Women's History Month kicks off today. Find out who USC students look up to.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar, una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles. Rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
States across the country are considering banning transgender care. Reporter Hannah Joy talked with a USC trans student about her experience.
Across the country, the transgender community is hitting the streets rallying to protect their rights. At USC, executive radio producer Val Diaz spoke her truth on being a transgender woman.
It was until I started as a freshman in high school that I realized that this was something that I would love to do, that transitioning would be something that would not only make me happier, but that would, in effect, save my life. What I was doing before wasn't living, I would qualify it more as surviving. It was more going day by day, trying to get by, trying to kind of make it through the day.
21 states, all shown here, are now considering to ban trans care. Here we have in recent days Utah and Indiana who have now joined that consideration. Governor Newsom, he has recently signed a bill to protect trans people. With this bill, Governor Newsom hopes to protect transgender youth and families from bans against gender-affirming care. Another member of the trans community believes the government has an essential role to play.
Is really need to be
committed to fighting for trans people both in their own states and perhaps in other states.
The trans community believe the fight is not over for justice and equality, and more people in the community need to embrace their true, authentic self.
I've been able to just experience, to just live, to just rejoice in everything that's around me and be able to like take it in, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful.
For Annenberg Media, I am Hannah Joy.
Experts believe a pair of bald eagle's eggs featured on a nonprofit's Facebook live cam in Big Bear are not going to hatch. Tens of thousands of viewers were expecting to see the offspring of California's most famous bald eagles, Jackie and Shadow, hatch over the weekend, but it never happened. Experts say this is not uncommon.
Not uncommon for eggs to not hatch, and it could be for a variety of reasons. They may not be fertilized, they may not be viable, or the embryo may stop developing at some point. It's extremely common. It's also not uncommon for baby eaglets to hatch and then not survive.
Despite the eggs not hatching, fish and wildlife officials say the population of the endangered bald eagle in California is currently on the rise due to conservation efforts.
President Foltz sprung into March with a message commemorating Women's History Month. She spoke in a webinar and highlighted many women, including Olympian and 2022 USC commencement speaker Allison Felix.
It's a time to reflect, to celebrate, and to uplift our trailblazers.
President Foltz talked about Title IX 50 years after it was passed. The law protects against sex-based discrimination in education. She also emphasized the university's efforts to remain inclusive of all sexes. We spoke with women on campus about which women inspired them the most.
My mom is my biggest inspiration as a single mother of 3 kids. She immigrated from the Philippines when she was 12 and supported herself through college, and she's the reason why I feel like I aspire to be a very hardworking and passionate person.
Rihanna inspires me a lot. I really like her inclusivity, especially for like her brand and her makeup brand, like Fenty Beauty.
Ethan, do you have any special women in your life that you're going to be celebrating this month?
Well, shout out to my mother, who is right now watching live in the control room, so thank you so much for everything you do.
So sweet.
Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Ethan Huang.
And I'm Rachel Hallett. For more coverage, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.